And here we are, guys, for our last video in the unit of Rome, having to deal with the fall of Rome. Take a second, though, and if you look at your 6K notes at the top, there's a question that says, knowing what you know about the Roman Empire and successful empires, what do you think were some of the main causes of the fall of the Roman Empire? Go ahead, take a minute, pause the video, and take your best guess. It doesn't have to be right. This is you just trying to see how much you know. And we're back now, so hopefully you guys took some guesses at that. And we're going to actually go ahead and talk about the causes for the decline of the Roman Empire. There are a lot of them. All right, the first one is geographic size. Okay, the geographic size of the Roman Empire is going to make it very difficult to defend and administrate. Okay, remember, again, even though the Romans had roads which helped them transport goods quickly from one portion of the empire to the next, it's still a large empire. They don't have internal combustion engines. They definitely don't have the airplane. And God knows they don't have email or Snapchat. So getting messages from one place to another is going to be a bit of a challenge. So if I'm up here defending Hadrian's Wall in the north of Britain and the Angles attack, I have to send my message across the Alps all the way back to Rome. Wait for the Romans to decide on a response. And then they've got to send the message back, hop across the English Channel, all the way back up to Hadrian's Wall. And that's just the message, not even any potential defending army. I mean, it takes months to get decisions from one end of the empire to another. So it's going to eventually, over time, become difficult to defend such a massive empire. Okay? Invasion. Invasion is another big one. As you can see down there, from the years 100 to 500 CE, there are a series of invasions against the Roman Empire. And the difference between these invasions and ones that had occurred before in the Roman Empire is that these invasions are not coming from another empire. They are just tribes of these Germanic tribes from different parts of the world are just going to attack every once in a while, here and there. You've got the Angles, the Saxons, the Franks, the Goths, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Huns, the Vandals, and more Goths. Okay? They are all coming in from different parts of Germany. And it's not one large army that the Romans can send their legions out to meet. It's small groups raiding and attacking in small parts. And the running joke was that while the Romans created these spectacular roads to help with transport, all the roads in the empire lead to Rome, which also allows armies and invading armies to get to Rome pretty quickly. Another cause, economy. The cost of defense is very, 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 very high. Okay, we see this today when it comes to sending our military overseas. It's expensive to operate a large standing military. And to have a massive empire and effectively defend its borders, you have to have a large standing military. Well, you have to pay the troops, you have to pay for their equipment, you have to feed them, you have to do all of this. That's not cheap. It's very expensive. And so the cost starts to run the empire into debt. And eventually, towards the end of the empire, what they're going to do, instead of simply coming up with new ways to create money, taxes, things like that, the empire is going to take the always dubious choice of, we're just going to print more money. When you print money, it loses its value because it becomes less scarce. This is Economics 101 right now. So we have a devaluation of the Roman currency. Its buying power goes down. So cost of goods goes up. So whereas my loaf of bread might have cost me 1 drachma, now, since drachmas aren't exactly rare anymore, now it might cost me 5. Well, my salary didn't increase, just the cost of food. Okay? So we have inflation because we have devaluation of Roman currency. So that's going to cause problems. That doesn't impact the rich. The rich don't have an issue with that. As we saw with the fall of the Republic, one of the causes that led to the Roman Civil War and made it ripe for such a thing to happen was this same thing. The poor people are the ones who suffer when this happens, and they can't afford food. All right. Another cause for decline here is the military. The military, the army is going to start to include non-Romans. So throughout most of the history of the Empire and the Republic, we have these legions that are made up exclusively of Roman citizens. Okay, so they are going to literally be fighting for the pride of their country. Well, to manage such a massive empire, it's just not possible to have all Romans in your army anymore. So we're going to start including non-Romans who are not as dedicated to the cause as a true Roman would be. And this is going to lead to the decline in discipline. So when a massive horde of Visigoths is charging at you, instead of standing there and holding your ground for the sake of Rome, you might be like, this isn't my home country. I'm going to go ahead and turn and run. And this is going to start leading to defeats. The legions start losing battles for the first times ever here towards the decline of the empire. Okay. The next one here, moral decay. People start to lose faith in Rome and in the family. If we remember, one of the reasons the Pax Romana was such an important thing, such a successful thing, is people stopped worrying so much about who had the most money, what goods they had. They focused on the glory of Rome and focused on their family, almost bordering on ancestor worship. Well, something has changed here since the Pax Romana has come to an end. Constantine made Christianity legal. And as the empire declines, people start putting their faith in a different power than in the power of the Roman Empire. Okay, they start focusing on achieving salvation through Jesus Christ. They spend their energies trying to be good Christians, as opposed to doing what they need to do and maybe a little bit of nasty sometimes to make the Roman Empire successful. So the Catholic Church, or as that time it's just a Christian church, we didn't have the breaks in it yet, the Christian Church is going to be one of the causes for decline of the Roman Empire. Political problems, okay? Civil conflict and weak administration. In the Pax Romana, we have a series of emperors over 200 years. It was about 20 of them, none of them really lasting longer than 10. Some had longer reigns, some had shorter ones. There was one year where there were 4. Okay, that's the Pax Romana. In the 200 years from the end of the Pax Romana to when the Western Roman Empire officially falls, 250 years give or take, there are something like 90 emperors. Okay, there are a lot of them. You have weak emperors. There are none of them aside from maybe Constantine and Diocletian who are really strong enough to run the empire and hold it firm. Okay, so we have weak administration, weak leadership is going to not be able to stop the ebb of the empire. They're not going to be able to fight to save what is good. We also end up having civil conflict within the leadership of the empire. So we frequently have people trying to promote their own personal gains, gain more power for themselves, and it's less about doing what is good for Rome. So political problems are going to also contribute to the downfall. All right, and now the division and fall of the emperor. Okay, the capital is eventually going to be moved from Rome to the city of Byzantium in the east by Constantine. He's going to rename the city Constantinople. It has a new name today. When you look at it on a map, its name is Istanbul. Okay. So Constantine is going to move the capital from Rome to Byzantium. Okay. He wants to move it towards what he felt was the largest threat at the time, which he thought was a reinvigorated Persian Empire. So he moves it to be closer to the Eastern Front. The empire is going to eventually be divided into 2 halves by Diocletian. Okay, so we're going to get to a period in time here now. We're going to get to a period in time where you have 2 emperors at a time. You have an emperor in Rome who is the Western Roman Emperor, and you have an emperor in Byzantium or Constantinople who is the Eastern Roman Emperor. So you're going to have 2 emperors now, an Eastern and a Western half. The Western Roman Empire is going to survive until the year 476 CE, when it ceases to have a Roman emperor, which is a very PG way for me to say that the Visigoths came through and killed the emperor and sacked the city. And that is the official fall of the Western Roman Empire. Now, the Eastern Roman Empire does not fall when this happens. It's going to live on, as what becomes known as the Byzantine Empire and continue on for another 1,000 years. And that is where our next unit is going to take us, and that brings us to the end of this unit.